Hey, friends! Frankie and Brad here in Casper's Kitchen where we cook music. Brad and I today are going to revisit folk rock. Folk rock is just not talked about much anymore. The era when, I guess, the mid 60s, when the electric guitars come along and kind of spiff folk music up. Thank you for Bob Dylan in 65. Starting it off with Donovan.
Donovan, the hurdy-gurdy man.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. Mellow Yellow. I mean, he had a string of hits back in the 60s. Wear Your Love Like Heaven. I mean, several songs.
Yeah, Colors. He wrote his first single. If I'm not mistaken, he was 15 years old when he recorded "Catch the Wind," and just had an amazing career. I believe I'm correct. Jimmy Page, I believe, played on Hurdy Gurdy Man. Uh, Possibly Season of the Witch as well. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, he did a lot of session work back in that period.
that was before Led Zeppelin. And but Donovan, just amazing. He was the kind of like the British Bob Dylan.
Yes.
You know, a great songwriter of the day, and just really had a way of being totally out of the box. You know, Atlantis.
Yes.
Strange song. Susan on the West Coast Waiting. Just a string of hits, and he pretty much retired in his early 20s and went home. Took the money and went home.
Yeah. He actually went with the Beatles to India when they were.
Yeah, Brad, I forgot about that. Good point. Yeah, and him and Harrison were great friends over the years. When the Beatles, all of them went back except George, but George and Donovan stayed on, and I mean, even to this day, Donovan is still into the Indian religious styles and the meditation. We're going to move on to one of my favorite bands of the 60s, 70s, 80s, Simon and Garfunkel. Paul
Mrs.
Simon.
Robinson, what a great song.
Yeah.
That song actually showcases how good of a guitar player Simon was.
Simon, that's true. A lot of people, you know, being possibly the greatest songwriter alive, you get overlooked as being a damn good guitarist, but Paul Simon is an exceptional guitarist. So many of his, I think his first solo album, there was a song where he did a lot of five-finger picking. I can't remember the tune, and then he did Angie, that I believe was written by, oh God, the guy with Pentangle, Burt Jantz. That was on maybe the first or second Simon and Garfunkel album, all instrumental. But Simon and Garfunkel, they just were all over the radio.
Yeah, they were, and they were great together, but they were also very good when they each did their solo material.
True.
And of course, when I think of Paul Simon, I think of Saturday Night Live, where he and George Harrison played two songs, Homeward Bound and Here Comes the Sun.
I remember that to this day, Thanksgiving show. But I don't think there was anybody in the 60s that was as good to me as Simon and Garfunkel, as both songwriting, the voices, the guitars. They had it all. Art Garfunkel's voice, Jesus, Bridge Over Troubled Waters, my Lord. And for Emily, whenever I may find her, that was off of the second album. That Garfunkel's voice on that was just superb. Well, we're going to move on, Brad. Mamas and Papas.
Mamas and Papas. You know what? For a band that put so many hits on the radio, they were only together for what?
17, 18 months?
Not long at all.
Wasn't long. Never toured except the Monterey Pop.
You know, they did the occasional TV appearance where they were pretty much pantomiming.
Right.
But their body of work for that amount of time is incredible.
John Phillips was an amazing songwriter. He actually did a solo album when they broke up that was not bad. I have it in my collection. It was pretty much when I noticed, but a lot of their stuff was just very poetic written, and the voices, the harmonies. I think they very much were one of the first bands after Peter, Paul, and Mary that capitalized on those combinations of 3, 4 part harmonies that only the soul bands did. I think
Right.
the rhythm and blues bands of the day were really good at that, but very few of the white artists captured that. But Mamas and Papas had a pretty good run, but like you said, they never toured. They pretty much a studio band, and
Yeah. After Mama Cass died, the group Spanky and Our Gang,
right,
that lead singer
Spanky McFarlane,
took Mama Cass's spot.
and she's really good.
She was really good. So they never recorded, but I think they did a few TV appearances.
And they toured. They toured off and on for a while. One
Doing-
just tidbit. In, I believe it was '65, there was a folk singer that's not well remembered named Barry McGuire that did Eve of Destruction. Big hit. And his producer asked if he knew anybody that might be good to sign, and he recommended this group called the Mamas and the Papas. And it was amazing that due to the friendship of Barry McGuire and John Phillips and Michelle, they got signed and went on to be far more famous than Barry McGuire was. Barry McGuire went on to do the lead in Hair, the Broadway musical.
You just reminded me of a really neat story. Johnny Rivers,
hmm
secret agent man, went to a nightclub one night and saw this group. He called his manager up and said, "Hey, do you like the Mamas and the Papas?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I've just seen the Black Mamas and the Papas. The Fifth Dimension were playing in a nightclub,"
yes.
and he got his manager and record producer to come see this group. And halfway through the show, the record producer wrote out a contract on a napkin just so that they wouldn't get signed by somebody else before anyone else
Sure,
could get
yeah,
them.
they were a hot band. The girl was Marilyn who sang with them? Marilyn McClue or Marilyn Magoo or I can't remember.
Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, they were a lot like the Mamas and the Papas, just in the way their vocals were structured.
Yeah. We're
But
gonna move on to Seals and Crofts
Seals and Crofts, golly,
from Texas. I lived in Dallas a while. They were legends there.
and rightfully so. If you've ever listened to any of their albums, of course they have the radio hits,
hmm
but the rest of their album sounds nothing like the radio hits. They were both accomplished musicians. Somebody asked me to describe what their other music sounded like. And I said it's kind of a cross between bluegrass and jazz, kind of fusion. They were all over the place, but just really good at what they did.
They were. I know Diamond Girl. What was that first? Summer Breeze.
Summer Breeze.
Oh God, just such a poetic song, and some of their deep cuts, like you said. What was the song they did? I'm trying to think of it. Was it Billie Jean and Ruby Lee, maybe? It was a song about their wives. I never can think of the song.
Right, but yeah, that's one of those songs that is not a radio song, but really shows off
They did that on a lot of TV shows back in the day, um, and it was a tribute to both of their wives and interracial marriage. But for the most part, Seals and Croft uh, totally forgotten today. They both recently died just in the last year, but they another band that was able to take the money and go home.
And you know, Seals had a brother, England Dan. England Dan, he had a hit before he was England Dan. He was Dan Seals and had a country hit called My Old Yellow Car,
Wow.
which was a really neat song. But from what I understand, they had a third brother that both of those guys said was more talented than them. So
Wow.
they had a whole family of talented musicians.
We're going to move on to the Byrds. The Byrds were certainly among the first to be labeled maybe folk rock.
Yeah.
Roger McGuinn, Glenn Clark, of course David Crosby. Uh, were real popular with taking a few Dylan songs, Mr. Tambourine Man. I think they did one or two other Dylan covers and added that jingly sound that
That 12 string that was so prominent in their sound.
yeah, that Rickenbacker 12 and in fact I believe it was it Harrison that become real good friends
With
the
McGuinn, and
yeah.
actually borrowed one of his licks to write a song of his own called If I Needed Someone.
Well, but I know the Byrds later in their career they started writing their songs and then when Crosby left they had a stint where they did some country stuff um, but even today McGuinn is still around and still occasionally performs, but definitely a huge band back in the
Yes.
day. John Denver.
John Denver. You mentioned Peter, Paul, and Mary earlier. John Denver actually wrote Leaving on a Jet Plane, and I came to find out recently that he had written that song with two other people, a guy and a girl that they did the song Afternoon Delight.
Oh yes.
And that they had written Leaving on a Jet Plane with John Denver, and from all accounts that I have read, he almost became a member of Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Wow.
But
Denver was
another heavy hitter as far as the
great
songwriter.
songwriter, great voice. Sunshine. Wow, what a voice!
You were able to see him
I
live.
did see John Denver live at the Greensboro Coliseum. It was a sold-out show, well over 20,000 people, and he came out for the encore by himself and sang Sunshine, and you could have heard a pin drop. And I know someone in the audience said, "Wow, he doesn't even need the band," and he had a huge band and put on a great show. He originally joined the New Christy Minstrels towards the end of their reign, and then after they, broke up, he started doing solo stuff, and I guess Peter, Paul, and Mary, give him his break, and he went on to do, Take Me Home, Country Roads, and,
Yeah.
become. I mean, he even had movies. I forgot he even played Oh God and the TV shows.
Right.
But Denver had an astonishing career.
Yeah.
Last, we're going to hit on someone who's recently passed. Another songwriter that wrote for Peter, Paul, and Mary, and a lot of other people. Gordon Lightfoot. Brad.
Gordon Lightfoot. I think about his body of work. He wrote a lot of really good, what you consider folk rock type songs. I keep thinking about the song Sundown. He wrote it
Yes,
about his really troubled relationship with Kathy Smith, who was later linked to the death of John Belushi. And just from hearing that song, Sundown, you can tell how troubled their relationship was.
Right. Yeah, he was definitely concerned that when she was going out with the girls that she might end up with a band, and it wouldn't be him. But,
and rightfully so.
Yeah, but Lightfoot I got into very early in life. I don't even think I was a teenager when I was buying Gordon Lightfoot albums. I first heard him doing the Peter, Paul and Mary song, Early Morning Rain. I had that album by Peter, Paul and Mary, and I was fascinated with that song, and I found out Lightfoot wrote it and went back and bought all of his early albums. And I just was amazed with his songwriting. And then when I guess it was his fourth or fifth album, it was first called Set Down Young Stranger, and they changed the name to If You Could Read My Mind. And that became his first big hit. And he tells a story about that he was drunker than could be and hung over when he recorded the song. And he said he went to they asked him to come to the United States to do something. I don't know whether it was some touch up or something, but in any case, he had to come to the U.S. And before he went, he found out that the producers in the U.S. had changed the name to his album from Set Down Young Stranger to the song title, If You Could Read My Mind. And he said, that ain't gonna fly. He said he was mad. He was coming to New York to kick ass and take names. He said he got to New York, he walked in the studio. First thing they said is, your album's #1. Your song's #1 on the radio. He said he shut the hell up. He never spoke again as long as he lived. He let them run his career. So, just goes to show you, sometimes you got to listen to the people you work for. Brad, anything you want to add?
Folk is kind of a dying art. And,
it is.
And I don't think there's that many of them left. There's some really great songs that came out of these artists, and it's kind of sad to think that this type of music may be disappearing for good.
I see a little of the folk music world in Europe, Germany, England, particularly, but in America, no. It's one bad thing that I think we're facing is the radio stations want to play the tried and true. I'm so sick of hearing my generation's music. I've got 3,500, 4,000 record albums. Great music, but I've heard it to death. I want to hear something I ain't heard. And I think, like you said, folk music's
dying, and we've even talked about rock bands are pretty much on the way out. All the record companies want now are singers that they can control and they can make the most money on.
Yeah, the voices, that's true. Well, listen, as always, take this time now to subscribe to our site, give us a thumbs up, and we appreciate you watching our video. And as always, you have a great day now. Later.